Democrats, welcome. I'm Kristina Zahorik, President of the Illinois Democratic County Chairs Association, representing 102 counties. Thank you for joining us tonight for the IDCCA County Chairs Annual Brunch. I appreciate you taking the time and for your continued support. A special thanks to our many sponsors listed doing the pre-program. A shout out to my home county of McHenry County, and a special thanks to the Chicago Laborers District Council and LiUNA Local 1035. Way to go. Last summer, nearly 3,000 of us were in Springfield to hear from Speaker Nancy Pelosi, where she urged the nation to be like Illinois, a strong Democratic state. I'm hopeful that next August we'll gather again in person for Democratic Day at the State Fair. The IDCCA Brunch serves as the kickoff for the campaign season, a rallying point to get energized for the election to come. The brunch at 6 tonight is no different. Tonight, nearly 800 Democrats from across this great state are joining us from the comfort of their homes. We have a fun and engaging program for you. You'll hear from Democratic leaders like Governor Pritzker, as well as from our guest speakers, two superstars representing the future of the Democratic Party, Senators Cory Booker from New Jersey and Tammy Baldwin from the battleground state of Wisconsin. Tonight, you'll also get to see some of the hardworking volunteers representing county Democratic parties and townships, along with a few committee people. They'll be introducing our Democratic leaders, or they might be featured in a couple of short, entertaining videos. It's these folks like you, who are the backbone of the party. Thank you to everyone who participated. Illinois continues to elect amazing Democratic leaders because of your work. You'll hear from just a sampling of them in a few moments. We'll also hear from several of our congressional candidates, our statewide elected officials, our two senators, our governor, and in the second half, of course, our guest speakers, Senator Cory Booker and Senator Tammy Baldwin. And we also have a surprise message. This brunch will be the shortest brunch ever, so stay tuned. With your support tonight, the IDCCA will continue to provide best practices, resources, and training for Democrats. We can continue to work hand in hand with the elected county chairs and their precinct committee people to turn out Democratic voters, to recruit outstanding candidates, to train volunteers, to grow the party, and to support Democratic initiatives. We are the frontline volunteers and the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. We make the connection between the Democratic Party and voters, county by county, neighborhood by neighborhood, door to door. And while our grassroots efforts took a little different turn, we're still getting the job done. Due to the pandemic, we stepped up our programming to provide virtual training to counties, candidates, and volunteers. Trainers for the series include some of our best and brightest Democratic operatives and organizations, including members of the IDCCA Leadership Circle. Close to 1,500 people have participated so far from nearly every county. We're planting those Democratic seeds, growing a strong Democratic Party. We have scheduled more trainings between now and Election Day, and we'll be sending you an email at the end of the program with details on how you can participate. And of course, our work will continue after November. You might be sitting at home right now, like I am, with your breakfast for dinner and a mimosa, I hope, thinking that Illinois is a Democratic state, and it will always be that way. But you know, it doesn't and it didn't just happen. We need you. We must all be active Democrats. During this program, we will share with you opportunities to volunteer between now and Election Day through your local county or township organization. You can play an important role to help turn out the vote. Join us phone banking and using peer-to-peer connections to reach those who share our values. Join us making sure that voters remember to turn in their vote by mail ballots. Be an election judge or a poll watcher. Democracy requires participation. You know that, and we have a job for you. After the program, You will receive an email that provides links to sign up for our statewide Rev project, for the election integrity program, and for the training series. Tonight, as you hear from some of our outstanding slate of candidates, think about what you can do to help make sure that they and all of our other Democratic candidates are victorious in November. Remember, our democracy relies on your participation. In a few seconds, you'll hear from our most excellent congressional candidates. While some of them are new faces, one is familiar. She ran in 2018. It's our friend, Betsy Dirksen-Londrigan. Betsy came very close to winning. She lost by less than 1 vote per precinct. She didn't give up. This year, she's back at it and to bring real representation to her district. We have our eyes on the prize, and we hope Betsy and her fellow candidates, like LaSalle County Democratic Chair Danny Brzezowski, make it over the top and win. So please join me in welcoming our outstanding congressional candidates.
Hi, my name is Rick Wilken, and I'm the chair of the Bureau County Democratic Party. I'm honored to be able to introduce Danny Brzezowski, our next Congresswoman from the Illinois 16th Congressional District.
Hi everyone, Danny Brzezowski for Illinois 16th District here. Thank you so much to the Chairs Association for hosting this very strange version of our annual brunch. And thank you to Governor Pritzker for spending the past 6 months doing everything in your power to keep the people of this district and this state safe. Your leadership has been really inspiring, and I am so grateful to be an Illinois Democrat. In this state and throughout the country, Democrats are getting big things done. I'm particularly proud to be the Democratic nominee for Congress in Illinois 16th District, where my opponent, Adam Kinzinger, votes with the Trump agenda 94% of the time. He's voted against health care for the people of this district dozens of times. He's voted against bringing jobs to the state of Illinois. Too often, he's put the interests of his corporate donors and a decaying Republican Party ahead of the interests of the people of this district. And that has to stop. I'm running to give the people of Illinois 16 the kind of fighting chance they deserve and the kind of representation who's going to stop at nothing until they get it. We all share values, right? We want to lower healthcare costs. We want to make sure that coverage is extended to literally everybody. We want to rebuild America with a significant investment in infrastructure. These things are really important. We need to make sure that corporations and the wealthy pay their fair share in taxes. But what's more than that even is that I'm running for everyone whose voice has been silenced. Everyone who's been told to sit down, to wait their turn, everyone who has been kept out of power. Here's a key difference between me and my opponent, and between all of us and the people who are out there working against our values. When we said "end liberty and justice for all," we meant for everybody. I know that with the full power of the Chairs Association behind me and the Illinois delegation and every single one of you, we can unseat the last remaining Republican member of Congress in Northern Illinois and further solidify our Democratic majority in the House and finally bring Illinois 16 back to the people. I'm Danny Brzezowski, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois 16th District. I need your help now more than ever. Visit DannyForIllinois.com to learn more.
It's my pleasure to introduce the next representative from IL 13, Betsy Dirksen-Londrigan.
I'm Betsy Dirksen-Londrigan, and I'm the Democratic nominee in Illinois' 13th Congressional District. I actually got into this race in 2018, and I got in to protect health care because I saw the current Congressman, Rodney Davis, celebrating in the White House lawn with Donald Trump and a bunch of Washington Republicans. They were celebrating that they had just voted to appeal the Affordable Care Act and kick millions of people off their insurance. And I thought, either they don't know what this is going to do to families or they don't care. And I do know and I do care, because my husband and I have 3 kids. And when our oldest son was 12, we almost lost him to, of all things, it started with a tick bite. And he ended up in a medically induced coma with a ventilator breathing for him. He was red last rites twice. And we watched that medical team save his life over and over again. So I know that if we hadn't had access to good care, I would be a mom of 2 and not 3. And if we hadn't had good insurance, it would have wiped us out. Rodney Davis was celebrating taking that away. So I got into the race, and in 2018, we came within less than 1% of getting this seat flipped from red to blue. Now in 2020, I am back in. This is a toss-up, red to blue race, top challenger race in the entire nation, where we can flip a seat and unseat a Republican incumbent, and we can together protect our health care. There's so much on the ballot on November 3rd. Healthcare is on the ballot. Making sure that millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share of taxes is on the ballot. Restoring our democracy is on the ballot. So Democrats, we have a lot of work to do. I'm ready, and I know you are too.
I'm so excited that I get to introduce my dear friend Marie Newman, the candidate for the Illinois 3rd Congressional District, and I'm so excited for her to go to DC and fight for all of us.
Good evening, everyone. I am Marie Newman. I am the Democratic nominee from Illinois 3. So glad to be with you tonight, even though it's virtually. Wish we could all be together. I will tell you, I have never been prouder to be a Democrat in this very, very critical race. And today, I think we all understand very clearly the importance of all of us getting engaged and working hard. We have a president in place that has made our country far worse. We have a pandemic that has taken 160,000 souls. We must get active and elect Joe Biden and then Democrats up and down the ballot. So today, I'm asking you to get active in the party of solutions that will help workers, working families, the labor movement, and everybody in our country be in a better position. So today I'm asking you to do a few things. So get ready, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. I'd love for you to get out and join a Senate race and help a senator win. We must take back the Senate. You can get on a congressional race. Here in Illinois, we have Sean Casten, Lauren Underwood, Betsy Lundgren, Danny Brzezowski, and others that you can support. So get on a race. And oh, by the way, you can help me too at marienewmanforcongress.com. But get on a race, help someone. And also the best way you can help working families, workers, and the middle class here in Illinois 3 and across our state is to support the fair tax. So I'd love for you to do all of that homework and get it done. Have a great day.
Vote Democratic for my future.
Vote Democrat for my future.
Vote Democrat for our future.
Vote Democrat for my future. Vote Democrat for our future. Vote Democrat for our future. Vote Democrat for my future.
Vote Democrat for my future.
Vote Democratic for my future.
Vote Democratic for my future.
Vote for my future!
Hi.
We have great candidates. Don't you just love those kids? They really are our future. Two of those cuties, Joey and Cordelia Kovatz, are the son and daughter of our executive director, Dan Kovatz. I want to take a moment to thank Dan, along with Jillian Hawkins, our assistant executive director, for all the work they do. We have a small professional staff, and Dan and Jillian are working hard to assist our county parties and implement the IDCCA mission and vision. Every Democrat, everywhere counts. Our IDCCA team includes our executive board, representing 19 county chairs from around the state, who help set our agenda and direction, meeting once a month, making sure everyone has a voice in our party and in our organization. In a nod to the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment and how important the women's vote and activism has been since 2016, I wanted to share with you that we have a record number of women county chairs, 30 in total, and half of our executive board is made up of women. We also want to recognize our leadership circle, a group of Democratic women and men with political expertise who serve an important advisory role for our organization. Thanks to them for all they do and to our leadership circle chair, Kevin Conlon. Like most of you, I was glued to my TV and my computer during the Democratic convention just a mere 2 weeks ago. Kudos to the Democratic Party of Illinois for a successful Illinois event. I saw many of you at the pre-events and watch parties. And did you recognize one of our former brunch speakers at the DNC? You may have recognized many former speakers, but I'm referring to one of Illinois' greatest leaders, President Barack Obama. He spoke to us in 2004, 2005, and 2006. And his remarks at the DNC were a moving and a sobering call to action. Our party's platform, which was approved at the convention, matters. It is a blueprint vision for the future of our country, a vision that tackles the most challenging issues of a generation: climate change, healthcare, and racial and economic justice. Our preamble reads, when the American people go to the polls this fall, we will be choosing more than a candidate. Character is on the ballot in this election. The character of our president, yes, but more than that, the character of our democracy, our society, and our leadership in the world. Our platform stands in stark contrast to the GOP platform, particularly since the Republican Party has no platform. Yep, this year they decided not to have one. The Republicans do not have an agenda. They do not have a vision. They have a personality cult based in greed. Their party is fractured due to the erratic, dangerous lack of leadership and lack of respect for the rule of law in the current president. The difference between the two parties could not be clearer, but we have serious work ahead. And I'm not saying don't ever trust a poll. We all know what happened last time. We should all be proud of our inclusive Democratic Party that is working for real solutions for people, that supports the rule of law and our Constitution. We know the work we do leads to success. We had a great big blue wave in 2018. We elected J.B. Pritzker governor, and we helped flip the House of Representatives by turning 2 red seats to blue, electing Representatives Sean Casten and Lauren Underwood, allowing Nancy Pelosi to be the Speaker of the House, enabling the House to hold hearings, to gather facts, and to impeach Donald Trump. Democratic members of the Illinois delegation have been governing, passing legislation that will benefit people and our economy, only to die with Mitch McConnell in his graveyard in the Senate. He's got to go. Let's hear from some of our Illinois delegation, dedicated, diverse, progressive leaders like Representative Robin Kelly, Sean Casten, Rajna Krishnamurthy, Jan Schakowsky, Brad Schneider, Bill Foster, and my Congressman, Lauren Underwood.
And now introducing Congresswoman Robin Kelly.
Every year, we say that this is the most important election of our life. And as we look to November, that proclamation continues to be true, both as a state and a nation. Locally, we need to turn out to protect as well as strengthen our state House and Senate majorities. Additionally, we need to support Democrats who are running at the county level. And we need to work overtime to make sure that we pass the Fair Tax Amendment. It is long overdue. On the federal side, we have to defeat Donald Trump. We can no longer allow this man to divide us and destroy our country. But this is not enough. We have to be sure to return Dick Durbin, Lauren Underwood, and Sean Casten to Capitol Hill. We need to make sure that Betsy and Danny join our congressional delegation. There are also promising candidates who are working hard to flip long-held Republican districts through the state that need our help. Democrats, let's join together and win in November.
On behalf of the Illinois 6th Congressional District Democrats and the Illinois Democratic County Chairs Association, it is our pleasure to welcome U.S. Representative Sean Casten of the Illinois 6th Congressional District.
Hello all, Congressman Sean Casten here. So I'm going to say something that's a little bit controversial, at least to some of my colleagues across the aisle. I believe the good guys won World War II. I believe the Enlightenment was a giant step forward in human progress. I believe markets are amazing ways to solve problems, but being pro-market is often exactly opposed to being pro-business. But I also believe that we're not perfect. We believe that all men and women are equal. We believe that we all have the equal right to pursue liberty. But over the course of our history, we haven't succeeded because we've been perfect. We have succeeded because we have striven for a more perfect union. And at every point in our history where we have moved that ball a little bit forward, from the elimination of slavery to the end of the Jim Crow era to women's suffrage, at every point in that history, there have been forces trying to hold us backwards, forces that benefit from the existing imperfect status quo. And it falls to those of good character, those who really believe in our Constitution and our democracy and believe in our strive and our pursuit of perfection, to fight to keep that ball going forward. So this election, to restore democracy, but even better, to perfect democracy, we have to beat Donald Trump. We have to win up and down the ballot. We have to win in a landslide to send a message that the overwhelming majority of Americans are good people. So get out, use this amazing tool of democracy we have like we've never done before. Make the most of this moment, stay safe, and we will get beyond this moment. Thank you. Stay safe.
On behalf of the Democratic Party of DuPage County, it is our honor to introduce Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. Good evening. Thank you to the county chairmen and women for putting on this wonderful Brunch at 6 event. I want to say a special thank you to Kristina Zahorik and Dan Kovatz, the leadership, for putting on this event. But I also want to salute, of course, our fearless Governor J.B. Pritzker, Senator Durbin, Senator Duckworth, the rest of our congressional delegation, all of our General Assembly and the leadership, as well as you. Thank you for coming on and contributing to the success of this event. Why are we here tonight? Because we're Democrats. Why are we Democrats? Because we care for and fight for people. People over money, people over profits, people over power. We try to make sure all people can get on the up escalator of the economy, regardless of whether you're poor, you're middle class, regardless of whether you're trying to grow a business. And we try to make sure all people can have access to that up escalator, regardless of where you come from, how you pray, whom you love, or the number of letters in your name. I have 29 in mine. And on that score, it's so important this year, as Democrats, we pass the Fair Tax Amendment and we elect Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Why is that important? Because one, we have to end this pandemic once and for all. We have to use science, facts, and our best expertise to kill this virus. And two, we have to heal this economy. 30 million people are unemployed. Millions of people are desperate for help. We need a man and a woman who are going to see to it that our government is working for the people. So with that, I just want to say thank you for joining tonight. God bless you and your families. Thank you for making sure everyone votes in this most important election of our lifetimes. And thank you for a victorious November 3rd.
It's a pleasure to introduce a champion for working people in Illinois, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm here to welcome you and thank you for coming to the first ever virtual brunch of the Democratic County Chairmen's Association. As a loyal and hardworking Democrat, I want to thank that association for all the terrific work that it does to elect Democrats up and down the ticket, the local and state and county and judicial races that are and the help is critically important, so thank you for that. And thanks to all the volunteers that are with us today. Two things I want to ask you for. One, we need your help to pass the fair tax in Illinois. You know that millionaires have to pay their fair share, and the rest of Illinoisans will be able to pay the same or less when that is passed, and it'll help the future budgets of the state of Illinois to do what we need to do. Second, we have an opportunity this cycle to make one of our red districts blue, red to blue, and that's Betsy Dirksen Londrigan in the 13th Congressional District. That's in the Springfield and beyond area. And so anything that you can do to help her win that election will make a huge difference to expand our majority in the House of Representatives. Also, we want to help re-elect Lauren Underwood, who is running in the 14th district, and Sean Caston, who is running in the 6th district. These are their first re-election campaigns, and we want to be sure that we don't have any problem re-electing them now and sending them back to Washington. And of course, Dick Durbin is on the ballot as well. So I'm really happy that you're here today. We're going to have to work day and night, make sure we have the biggest turnout ever, because this is the most important election of our lifetime. I know that you'll be there, and I know that the Democratic County Chairmen's Association will be there for all of us too, so thanks.
On behalf of the Lake County Democrats and the 10th Congressional District Democrats, known as 10th Dems, we'd like you to welcome our 10th Congressional District, Congressman Red Schneider.
Greetings to the Illinois County Chair Association. I hope everyone who's joining us tonight is doing safe and well as we try to navigate our way through this pandemic. I want to take a moment just to thank all of you for the work you do, not just in the next weeks leading up to November 3rd, but throughout the year, making sure we have a foundation for a successful election. We say every year this is the most important election in our lifetime, and certainly that's true this year's election as well. But without question, this is the most consequential election in our lifetime, if not perhaps in our country's history. It is so important that we elect Joe Biden to the White House. It is critical that we do everything we can to elect Dick Durbin and take the Senate. We have to hold the House, and we've got some great candidates in Illinois, including Lauren Underwood, Sean Caston, and we're going to flip the seat and elect Betsy Lonergan. The work you do matters each and every day, but today we're fighting for our future. Thank you for all you are doing, and let's make sure we elect Democrats up and down the ballot, and let's do even more. Let's pass the Fair Tax Amendment. Thanks again. Have a great evening.
I introduce to you Congressman Bill Foster.
Hi, I'm Bill Foster. I'm a scientist, a businessman, and the son of a civil rights lawyer, and I'm proud to represent the 11th District of Illinois in the U.S. Congress. Thank you for attending the Illinois Dems County Chair Association brunch. In many ways, you all represent the heart and soul of the Democratic Party in Illinois. When I first decided to enter politics back in 2008, my very first meeting was with one of your own, Mark Gately, where I explained to him my crazy plan to run as a Democrat and win in the Illinois 14th District, Dennis Hastert's seat, gerrymandered for generations to be a safe Republican seat that went all the way across the state from DuPage to Henry County. But it wasn't crazy, and with many of your help, I was able to win. Many people tell me that they still remember when the call went out across Illinois, hey, how would you like to come out and knock doors on a Saturday special election to help Democrats take Denny Hastert's seat? And because of that victory, I was able to represent Illinois and cast crucial votes in Congress to pass Obamacare, to rescue the automobile industry and the economy, and to pass the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act. And after I lost my seat in Congress for taking those tough votes in the Tea Party wave of 2010, many of you helped me return to office in the new 11th District that now combined Aurora, Joliet, and Naperville, the second, third, and fourth largest cities of Illinois in Kane, DuPage, Kendall, and Will counties. And because of that, I was able to help defend the historic accomplishments of the Obama years from repeated Republican assaults. I don't have to tell you that the last 3.5 years have been hell on wheels. I was recently appointed by Speaker Pelosi as the Midwest representative on the House Select Committee on the Coronavirus Crisis, where we're making sure that scientist voices are speaking the truth about the coronavirus pandemic and being heard over Trump's screaming nonsense. I'm also helping to ensure that trillions of dollars that Congress has allocated to help protect American workers and their families are actually going where they were intended. And I'm working to make sure that in the development and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines and therapeutics, that frankly Trump does not screw this up as badly as he screwed up the testing. This November is more important now than ever. The American people must all come together, and not only because of the human lives that will be saved by the competent presidency of Joe Biden, but also to stand up, to come together, and to restore our democracy and the rule of law. The Illinois County Chair Association has been instrumental in supporting the work that Democrats are doing throughout the state. With your continued support, we will ensure that Democrats win big this year and push forward common sense solutions, starting in Illinois with passing the Fair Tax Act. Thank you all and stay safe.
Henry County Democrats welcome Lauren Underwood.
Hey everybody, it's Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. Just wanted to thank all of you county chairs for the tremendous work that you do in all of our communities every day. From candidate recruitment to volunteer training to keeping us all on the same page and marching to the same drum as we try to win these elections and inspire our communities. I know it's a tough job, but having a tremendous resource in the County Chairs Association has been just such a tremendous help to even my campaign, and I'm grateful for Chairwoman Kristina Zahorik's leadership both locally and throughout our state. She's done such a tremendous job, and I know that together we are going to elect Joe Biden as President of the United States. We're going to send Senator Durbin back to Washington, where he's going to continue to lead and represent us so well, and elect so many friends to state and local office. This is a big year, a lot of work to do, but we'll get it done together. Thanks so much, everybody.
Our family works hard. We shouldn't have to choose between going to the doctor and debt. Our parents shouldn't have to choose between prescription drugs and groceries. Now more than ever, we need a healthcare system that works for everyone. Republican politicians want to repeal, they want to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. This election is about whether hardworking families like yours should be able to get the treatment you need. I'm voting for Democrats this November so that our time with family won't be spent worrying about healthcare bills. It'll be spent enjoying the people we love.
Yay! Striving for a more perfect union. Thank you to the Illinois Congressional Delegation. We are so proud of your work in Washington, D.C. and your outreach into your districts. We see you continuing to improve the lives of Americans, solving problems and valuing hard work. We see you governing, not just helping those who elected you, but assisting all of your constituents. These are really strange and challenging times. We're sitting in the middle of a pandemic and during an economic crisis. It's no surprise that healthcare remains a top concern. The vast majority of Americans rank it, coupled with prescription drug costs, among their top priorities heading into this election season. We know we can count on our party, the Democratic Party, to focus on the real needs of Americans. Government leadership in a crisis, decisive leadership, roll up your sleeves and get to work leadership. This is what Americans are looking for. And we have not seen any of it from this White House. The only thing that this president is leading in is lying. Illinois has leadership because we elected leaders who govern. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Lori Lightfoot, as well as other mayors like IDCCA Leadership Circle member Nancy Rotering out of Highland Park, and Democratic-led county boards, and other local officials who share our values. They are providing the leadership and the governance Illinois needs. They implemented a series of best practices to prepare for and to work to stop the spread of COVID. This pandemic touches all of us. There are more than 183,000 Americans dead due to COVID. In our state, 8,248 are dead, including my cousin, Kathleen K. Takish of Western Springs. 8,248. That's as if everyone who lived in West Dundee, Jerseyville, or Island Lake, or Oak Brook died. For all of those who've lost someone, our deepest sympathies. To those who currently are struggling, our well wishes. In addition to the real health concerns is the economic uncertainty we are facing. So many people have lost their jobs, their businesses, and their sense of purpose. Vice President Joe Biden is the right person to lead our country and bring back our economy. just like we're doing here in Illinois, with the big things that Governor Pritzker and the democratically controlled Illinois General Assembly are getting done. They're working to restore and bring back Illinois. A key policy to bringing back Illinois is the fair tax. The other side is pushing out a ton of misinformation. The simple question we should ask is it fair for a nurse or a grocery clerk, our frontline essential workers, is it fair that they pay the same tax as a multimillionaire? The answer is no, it isn't fair. The IDCCA will send out to you the fair facts so you can share it with your network. You know, last summer seems like such a long time ago, and it was my first brunch as president, and we were celebrating all the big things JB and the Illinois General Assembly were able to do. They worked to restore and build back Illinois better. We worked hard. We worked hard, not only electing JB and the supermajorities in the Illinois House and Senate, but we elected Democrats who believe in good government to every constitutional statewide office. And they've been doing their jobs for the people. So let's hear from our statewides, like Attorney General Kwame Raoul. We are so glad that he's recovered from COVID-19, and frankly humbled that he had the courage recently to share his speaking struggles, inspired by Joe Biden and Braden Harrington, the 13-year-old boy whom you see speak so eloquently at the convention.
I'd like to welcome Mike Frerichs, Illinois State Treasurer.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Brunch at 6. Typically, we would be gathered in Springfield, meeting old friends and working to elect Democrats as we celebrate Democrat Day at the Illinois State Fair. Well, as we all know, nothing has been typical in 2020, nor do we have a typical leader in our White House. But we don't need a specific reason to celebrate the good works of our leaders, of our public servants, and of our Democratic Party, because we have so many good stories to tell. It is time once again to share these stories. There might be less door knocking and more phone banking, but we will bring the same dedication, energy, and spirit to meet the challenges at hand. We must help our governor, J.B. Pritzker, pass the fair tax. It is well past time to help the real working men and women of this state who give and give and give some more, only to be told that they are not giving enough. The fair tax is exactly that, fair. As Democrats, fairness and equal opportunity are to be celebrated. As such, we must not let opponents mislead voters with verbal tricks and sleight of hand arguments. As we do so, we must ensure that we return a true public servant to our White House and help Joe Biden rebuild our democracy. It is time to restore democracy, elect Joe Biden, and pass the fair tax. It is time once again, my fellow Democrats, to stand tall for our state and for our nation. Thank you so very much for your hard work and dedication to our great state.
From our home away from home at the DuQuoin State Fairgrounds, the Perry County Democrats are proud to introduce Comptroller Susana Mendoza.
Hi Democrats, Comptroller Susana Mendoza here. In these challenging days of COVID-19, boy do I miss you. I'm a massive hugger and love seeing people in person where I can give and get hugs and high fives and get inspired by the positivity that radiates from the energy in a room. Hopefully we'll get back there soon, but no doubt we'll have a better chance of getting the health of our nation back when we get rid of the other virus that has infected our country, Donald Trump. I don't think I need to bore you with the million-plus incredibly obvious reasons why defeating Donald Trump is vital to restoring democracy and the soul of America. You all know he has to go. It's not rocket science. It's as if you found out you had a tumor that was stopping the oxygen from flowing to your brain and your heart, making you mentally unfit and heartless, not to mention a host of other ailments to boot. You'd want to excise that thing out of you ASAP. Well, ASAP for us means getting rid of what ails America's conscience, heart, and soul, and that means getting rid of Donald Trump in November. We must put every ounce of our energy into electing Joe Biden as our next president. Joe will restore decency, empathy, and values to our country and make us and the world proud of America once more. And here in Illinois, as the woman responsible for paying the state's bills and navigating us through this terrible financial crisis, I want to ask you to please do everything you can to convince Illinoisans to vote in their own interests by supporting the Fair Tax Amendment this November. The fair tax will help us better meet our financial obligations. Even before COVID-19 blew up our finances, a progressive taxing structure was the right thing to do, where 97% of taxpayers will benefit, with only the wealthiest 3% paying more. Now, more than ever, it's critical to get this amendment passed. Thanks again, Democrats. This is our year for our families, for our country, for the world.
Hello, my name is Billy Halstead, and I've been given the privilege to introduce my good friend and yours, the longest serving Secretary of State in the nation, Jesse White.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jesse White, your Illinois Secretary of State, and I want to thank you for allowing me to serve. It is important for us to make sure we get out the vote in November. We want to and must defeat Donald Trump. We also must pass the fair tax referendum and do all we can to keep control of the House and Senate. Special thanks to the Democratic County Chairs and the Precinct Committeemen. And above all, I want to congratulate my good friend J.B. Pritzker. He's going to go down in history of being the best governor that the state of Illinois has ever enjoyed. So remember, winning is for us and losing is for someone else. Thank you.
On behalf of McLean County Democrats, we welcome Illinois State Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
Hello, Illinois Democrats. I want to say thank you to the Illinois Democratic County Chairs Association for bringing us together virtually. What a year 2020 has been so far. Whether it's the COVID-19 pandemic or the issues uncovered by the tragic murder of George Floyd, our 2020 experience has revealed how important it is to elect Democrats at the state, local, and federal level. 2 years ago, you worked hard to elect me the 42nd Attorney General of the state of Illinois, and for that I am grateful. Since that time, we've been busy fighting for democratic values at the state and federal level. Whether it's protecting access to reproductive health care, protecting workers' rights, fighting rollbacks on environmental protections, advocating to allow people to love who they love, defeating inhumane policies towards dreamers, demanding constitutional policing, and more. I, along with other Democratic attorneys general from throughout the country, have been on the front lines fighting against wrong-headed Trump policies. We also elected Governor Pritzker, who has stepped up big time to protect all Illinoisans during this unprecedented pandemic. But for his leadership, we would have lost many more lives in Illinois. We at the Attorney General's office have actively defended Governor Pritzker's life-saving decisions in court. Yes, elections have consequences, and yes, they can be life or death consequences. On the national level, Donald Trump has mishandled COVID-19 throughout this country, and lives have been lost as a result. That is why we come together, notwithstanding this pandemic, to make sure we give Donald Trump the boot once and for all. Notwithstanding polls, we need to fight like we're behind and elect Joe Biden our president, Kamala Harris our vice president, and return my friend Dick Durbin to the U.S. Senate. Let's assume nothing and work hard. Finally, it's critical that we realize the devastating impact COVID-19 has had on our economy in Illinois. We can be in a better position to respond, but we must approve the Fair Tax Amendment. Democrats, we've demonstrated great strength 2 years ago, but our job is not done. Let's do it again. Elect Democrats.
I'd like to welcome
Hello, you're still with us. Aren't you proud of our statewide leaders that you helped elect? Every part of our state helped in those wins. Even in the more traditionally red areas, we narrowed the gap and built up the percentages on our side. And we can do it again for Senator Durbin and our local candidates. We did have great success in 2018. We had a name for it. We called it the Blue Wave. We cautioned, though, that we weren't done yet at the end of it. 2020 was in sight and just around the corner. Well, 2020 is here now, and we need more than a blue wave. We need a blue tsunami. We've got 63 days until Election Day on November 3rd, the most important election in our history and perhaps our nation's. Voting in Illinois, though, starts in just over 3 weeks on September 24th. How many of you can't wait to vote for Joe Biden and vote out Donald Trump? How many are voting then on the 24th at your election authority? How many friends and family are you bringing with you? Will you share that you voted on your social media platforms? Or are you waiting until October and voting at an early voting satellite location? Again, who are you bringing with you to vote? Who are you encouraging in your circle of family and friends? Or are you like me and planning to vote by mail? Once you've made your plan to vote, please think about what else you can do to help elect more Democrats. Are you available to help monitor elections? We've got a need for poll watchers and Democratic election judges, particularly in our larger cities. We know the other side cannot win on their policies. So the only way they can win is to suppress the vote. We've read and heard about their plan to take back the election. We need your help to protect voters from intimidation and malfeasance that might occur at different polling places in the state, and to ensure the integrity of the election. You can help by being a Democratic election judge or poll watcher. Election authorities are following the strictest safeguards in Illinois to allow safe in-person voting. And again, we will send you an email after this program on how to get involved. Or you might want to join the IDCCA Rev Project. Recruit, engage, and vote from your own home. We've got over 500 volunteers calling inconsistent Democratic voters and encouraging them to vote. Phase 3 of the project will be reminding those Democratic voters to return their vote by mail ballots. And again, we'll send you information on how you and your friends or your organization can get involved. Sign up also for the IDCCA virtual trainings. As I mentioned earlier, over 1,500 people throughout the state have already participated. And we have 2 great programs this month, in September, I should say, because we're still in August, on how to incorporate digital ads into your campaign, and an issue-based training program on the history of labor and their impact on the political process. The labor issue training will be done by IDCCA Leadership Circle member and recently elected Illinois AFL-CIO President Tim Dre. Thank you to the state AFL-CIO for their continued support, and to all the other unions who support our work on behalf of the middle class. A big shout out tonight for those on the call from LIUNA, the carpenters, IBEW, the operators, IEA, IFT, the steam fitters, bricklayers, AFSCME, UFCW, the painters, SMART, plumbers, the labor councils, the building trades, and the letter carriers, who are under particular attack from Trump and his enablers. I want to give a big shout out to all of our brothers and sisters in the labor movement. They've been important partners to the success of the Democratic Party here in Illinois. The Democratic Party believes in the dignity and the value of work. We understand the threat that this president and his enablers present to our nation and to the middle class. We went through our own millionaire businessmen not wanting or knowing how to govern problem in Illinois. We got rid of them, and we'll get rid of Trump and his cronies too. So let's hear next from some more real leaders like JB and the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Congresswoman Cheri Bustos, and veteran Senator Tammy Duckworth, who, like the Midwesterner she is, told it like it is. During her remarks at the DNC, she called out Trump. As she said, they have a coward in chief who won't stand up to Vladimir Putin, who won't read his daily intelligence briefings, and publicly won't admonish adversaries for reportedly putting bounties on the heads of our troops.
On behalf of your many friends here at the Democratic Party of Oak Park, a big welcome to our progressive champion, Illinois Senate President Don Harmon.
Good evening, everyone. This is Senate President Don Harmon, and I'm thrilled to be with you tonight, all across the great state of Illinois. We have an important job to do as Democrats. We have to save our country from one of the worst threats we've ever faced. Unfortunately, it's a threat that comes from within. I wish I was just speaking about stopping the deadly effects of coronavirus or a platform to end systemic racism that's plagued our nation for hundreds of years. I wish it was about promoting a fair progressive tax system here in Illinois by passing the Fair Tax Amendment. We must do these things, but the biggest challenge we face right now is a president of our own country's making. We as Democrats didn't elect him, but the past 4 years have taught us that nobody is going to save us from him. We have to roll up our sleeves and take on the responsibility of getting him out of the White House ourselves. We know we can do the job. We're the party that sent Barack Obama to the White House. We continually send tremendous leaders like Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth to fight for us. We persevered when Bruce Rauner was hell-bent on busting organized labor here in Illinois and held our state hostage in order to accomplish his goal. We're led today by caring, committed, and extraordinary leaders like Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, all of our constitutional officers and mayors and public health professionals across Illinois. They're saving lives and combating this virus because the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into electing Democrats here in Illinois did their job. I believe in you, and I know you will make the calls, invest in the candidates, and teach voters how to vote by mail in whatever state we need to this fall. Our country is depending on us, so we won't let them down. Thank you, be safe and be strong, and let's win in November.
We are the Knox County Democrats Central Committee, and it is our pleasure to introduce our Congresswoman from the 17th District, Congresswoman Cheri Bustos. Go Cheri!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Cheri Bustos of Moline. I wish we could all be meeting in person, but I'm still glad that we're able to get together virtually. It's been said often, but I feel I need to emphasize it again. We are facing an election unlike any other in our history. We have an incumbent president ill-equipped to handle any crisis, and he is unable to do what is best for the country rather than what's best for himself. Fortunately, we have a candidate in Vice President Joe Biden who has the dignity and the resolve that we will need to repair our country after Donald Trump is out of the White House. As we navigate a campaign season buffeted by the twin disruptions of a global pandemic and a severe economic downturn, we have to be mindful that we're asking people to step up and fight for us while they are deeply concerned about the health and the economic security of their own families. This is true in my race and in the races of many of our Democratic congressional candidates right here in Illinois. We have terrific frontline members of Congress, members like Sean Casten and Lauren Underwood, who are running for re-election, and candidates like Betsy Dirksen-Lonergan, who's running to flip a seat from red to blue. Congressman Casten brought his background as a small business owner and as a scientist to Congress, so he could fight for real climate change policies instead of denying science like his opponent in this year's election. Congresswoman Underwood, she brought her deep background in public health by fighting for lower drug prices for diabetics. Her opponent, he believes we should raise the retirement age into the 70s. And congressional candidate Betsy Dirksen-Lonergan of Springfield. She's running a great campaign to flip the 13th Congressional District blue and unseat Congressman Rodney Davis. As she continues to work hard and outrage her opponent, I am confident that Betsy is on her way to victory this November. Across the country, we are poised to expand our numbers in Congress as Democratic candidates continue to outwork their Republican counterparts and as President Trump continues to alienate more and more voters in swing states. To make sure these candidates and the many other Democrats running for office in Illinois win, we have to keep working hard. We have to make sure that everyone knows how to vote by mail. We have to make sure that no one is denied the right to vote. And we have to make sure people vote blue. I'm lucky to work with exceptional Democratic county chairs, many of whom I know are online here tonight. Your leadership keeps our entire party running, and it makes our victories possible. So to all of you, thank you for the work that you're doing. And let me ask each of you to commit to work even harder in support of our great Democratic candidates. We're just weeks away from victory in November. Thanks, and have a great evening.
Wabash County is honored to present Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Hello, Democrats. I know we'd all rather be meeting in person, but I'm glad to have this opportunity to join the first ever Brunch at 6. Thank you so much to President Zahorik, Governor Pritzker, and all the county chair people across our state working hard in these difficult conditions to make sure we're as organized and strong as we can be so that we can re-elect my good friend Dick Durbin and finally kick Donald Trump out of office in November. America needs and deserves empathetic leaders like Dick Durbin and Joe Biden, not bullies or corporate shells like Trump and Mitch McConnell. Our nation needs leaders who will help us build back better and restore faith in democracy rather than undermine it. Who will help us navigate out of the economic and health crisis that Donald Trump has made worse? And who will actually focus on, instead of ignoring the real problems facing our country like racial injustice and excessive police force, the need for national paid leave and childcare policies, the lack of access to affordable health care, and a pandemic that has already taken too many lives and threatens us all. So you don't need me to tell you how important the work we're doing is. But if we want to win, we have to stay focused. We have to do the work. We can't let up. Thanks to our great governor, Illinois is getting back on the right path. But as long as Mitch McConnell controls the U.S. Senate and Trump is in the White House, it's going to be hard to do the things that we need to do to get our country back on the right path. So we have to win. We need to elect Joe Biden, expand our Democratic congressional delegation, and re-elect Dick Durbin. We're going to have to work like hell to do it. We can't take anything for granted anywhere. We've got to make the Zoom calls, we've got to talk to our community members, and we've got to do the hard work to tell our voters to get out there and why it's critical to vote Democrat. We've got to tell them why it's wrong to ignore working families who are struggling because Trump's mismanagement of our economy. Why it's wrong to let 140,000 Americans die before admitting that maybe masks will help keep our neighbors alive. Why it's wrong to threaten to use military against peaceful protesters. Each and every one of you in this room is doing your part. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you and keep it up. We need you now as much as ever. So may God bless you. God bless our troops in harm's way. And as always, may God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and let's get to work so we can win in November.
Hi, JB. This is Carol Evans, Chair of the Champaign County Democrats. Thank you for listening to the science to help keep us safe.
Hey, this is Joe Wager down in Lawrence County, Illinois, and I'd just like to take a minute today to thank Governor J.B. Pritzker for all of his efforts in an attempt to keep all the citizens of Illinois safe.
Whiteside County Chair Hooper Campos here. I just want to thank J.B. for keeping Illinois safe.
Hey, Governor Pritzker. We just want to say thank you for everything you're doing to protect the people of Illinois.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for your continued leadership and using science to keep Illinois safe.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Governor.
We appreciate you.
I want to welcome everyone to the 2020 Illinois Democratic County Chairs Association Brunch. We're usually all together in Springfield at this time of year, cheering on our party and our candidates in person. Kristina Zahorik and the IDCCA had to make a tough decision, but the right one, to have a virtual event this year, allowing Democrats all across the state to follow medical advice and scientific evidence to stay healthy and safe in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. But we're Democrats. Our spirit and drive to fight for working families and justice loud and strong, and that makes it easy for all of us to connect with each other all across this great state. When I was sworn in as governor just 19 months ago, there were many challenges ahead. So we Democrats, we went to work and we made history. We passed a $15 minimum wage, giving 1.4 million Illinoisans a much needed raise that will lift hundreds of thousands out of poverty, like the essential workers who've kept us all safe during this pandemic. We restored collective bargaining rights and banned right to work in Illinois. We restored funding for education and mental health and human services. We expanded health care coverage to 100,000 more Illinoisans, and we improved the quality of care for our seniors. We passed the largest infrastructure investment in Illinois history that will rebuild our crumbling roads and bridges and schools while creating and supporting hundreds of thousands of new jobs. We banned private correctional centers and private immigration detention centers that earn their profits off of Donald Trump's unconscionable immigration policies. We legalized cannabis with the most equity-centric law in the nation that addresses the harms that have been visited upon Black and brown communities by the war on drugs. It's been a model for other states to follow. We brought relief to 300,000 small businesses. We advanced equal pay for women. We protected a woman's right to make her own healthcare decisions and made Illinois a pro-choice beacon of the nation. But we aren't done. We're going to pass ethics legislation that bans the revolving door for lobbyists and forces them to make full disclosure of their consultants and their clients. We're going to pass energy legislation that promotes clean energy and puts consumers and climate first. And the utility companies won't be the ones writing that legislation. And we will pass legislation to put justice, equity, and opportunity into communities across the state that have been left out and left behind for far too long. 2020 has been a challenging year, but with your help, we'll continue to succeed across the board and get big things done for the people of Illinois. This November, Democrats must be united and ready to fight to keep building on the progress that we've made. From Rockford to Carbondale and from Quincy to Champaign, we need everyone to do their part to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. We Democrats know how to win by putting in the hard work on the ground. Thousands of volunteers are making phone calls, hosting virtual events, and encouraging their family and friends and neighbors to vote by mail. And when we do all of that, we'll finally be rid of the swamp creature who occupies the White House, and we'll elect Joe Biden as president. We'll ensure our senior statesman, Senator Dick Durbin, continues to represent us in Washington. We'll be celebrating the election of Congresswoman Betsy Dirksen Londrigan. We'll re-elect our superstars, Lauren Underwood and Sean Casten, to Congress. We'll increase our majorities in the General Assembly, and we will elect more Democrats all across the state. And now, more than ever, it is vital that our essential workers like nurses, firefighters, grocery store clerks, teachers, and paramedics pay a lower tax rate than millionaires and billionaires. The fair tax will bring in billions of dollars of additional revenue that we can use to balance our budget, fund our schools, human services, and critical programs that many Illinoisans rely on. So I hope you will all join me by voting yes for the fair tax this November. Finally, no matter what that xenophobic, sexist, homophobic racist in the White House says, or what mayhem he causes, we're going to have our election on November 3rd, and we'll vote him out of office. Defeating Donald Trump is the most important fight of our lives. Now, I usually sum up my remarks by asking if you're ready for the fight. But this year, I know you are. This year, we're going to fight harder than ever before for our state and for the future of our country. And we're going to win. Thank you. God bless you, your families, the great state of Illinois, and the United States of America.
Yay! Let's hear it for our governor, J.B. Pritzker. He is a real leader, a compassionate leader who believes in facts, believes in science, and who has stepped up in a time of crisis to provide the necessary leadership we need during this pandemic and during these strange and challenging times. He has a vision to restore Illinois and is working with supermajorities in the Illinois General Assembly. We must work to return those majorities in the Illinois House and Senate. And of course, we need to pass the fair tax. Some of those Trumpian enablers serve right here in Illinois in local office, and we must vote them out. They gotta go. But they won't go unless we turn up to turn out and do more than just vote. And again, if you're looking for what else you can do to elect more Democrats, we have a phone banking operation that needs your help. It's called the Rev Project. From McHenry County to Champaign to Stevenson and across to Adams, over 500 volunteers are calling fellow Democrats to encourage them to have a voting plan and to vote by mail. Let me give you a real example in my own county about how effective this program is. Of 34 people we actually spoke to in my home county, 30 applied for a vote by mail ballot. This is going to make the difference in our local races. So do a bit more. Join our effort and help us make sure that every Democrat everywhere counts. Our nation is at a crossroads. We are being called to step up, and there's not a moment to waste. We can build back better what we've lost under Trump and build back better with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, just like we're doing here in Illinois. It's my privilege now to have the Dean of the Illinois delegation and the Senate Democratic Whip, Senator Dick Durbin, with us tonight. I want to personally thank him for his support of the IDCCA over the years. He really built up this statewide grassroots organization, understanding that every Democrat everywhere counts. And I appreciate all he does, including asking 3 of his colleagues to address us tonight, one of which is at the top of the ballot. Senator Durbin is on the ballot this year too, and we can't take his winning for granted. We need to return him to the Senate in the majority, and we need his steadfast, dignified, and empathetic leadership. Senator Durbin, thank you for being with us tonight.
Kristina, thank you so much. It's great to be with you in this unusual setting. I'm on my deck in Springfield with my beer nuts, just down the road in Bloomington, and the cicadas chirping in the background. And I've watched this program, amazed at the talent that we have in our party. It's just incredible. From north to south, east to west, we are one state, one party, and I've never seen an array of talent like we have this evening. It's an honor to be with you. I want to also thank those who've made this a financial success for the County Chairman's Association, County Chairs Association. The trial lawyers have played an important part. Organized labor, we just couldn't do it without you. And so many loyal friends who come through every year. A special shout out to my chief of staff for my downstate operation, statewide operation, Bill Houlihan. He has really helped the county chairs as well as the state party. He is my go-to person for contacts, and each and every one of you have a Bill Houlihan story, a good one that you could tell. So let's step back for a minute and use our experience, our intuition, and our intelligence. Let's figure out how Donald Trump is planning to get reelected. Well, he starts off by wanting to run on his record. So he takes a look at the American people. 75% of Americans today say America is going in the wrong direction. 75%. Not a good starting point, is it, for President Donald Trump? And then there's that other statistic that must be haunting him too. 2 out of 3 Americans across the board say things are going to get worse. They take a look at the coronavirus and they see Trump lying to people about it being a hoax, that it's just going to disappear, ignoring the experts when they told us what we needed to do, and producing results that are disastrous. As our gathering here, 180,000 Americans plus have lost their lives. We're 4th in the world in population, 4% I should say in population, and yet we have 20% of the coronavirus deaths in the world. 4% of the population, 20% of the deaths. What happened? We didn't have the leadership we needed from the top. Well, the economy has suffered dramatically. 50 million Americans losing their job, another million again last week. So how do you put together a campaign for re-election? Well, you sure don't want to talk about the coronavirus, and you certainly don't want to talk about the economy. So what you try to do is to smear and blast the Democratic candidate for President, Joe Biden. And that's what we saw in the Republican convention last week. Some of the things they said about Joe Biden were preposterous, calling him a radical socialist. For goodness sakes, this man has served this country so well in the Senate and as vice president, and has been part of building the middle class in America. And then to suggest that he's somehow soft on crime, I know better. Joe Biden is a person who values law and order, who values constitutional policing, a person who values, as we do, a nation that is strong, and a nation that is safe. That kind of negative campaigning is what we're going to hear from Donald Trump in the closing weeks of this campaign. But the American people know better, and we know Joe Biden, and we're getting to know, as I do, Kamala Harris. Kamala is just an amazing person. She's been a terrific member of the Senate, terrific colleague of mine. We've served on the Senate Judiciary Committee for years. And I can just tell you, she's going to be a terrific vice president. Now, what do we need to do? Well, there's several things. First, we need to make sure that we all vote for the fair tax amendment. We got to make sure that those who are super wealthy are paying their fair share of our state income tax. Not too much to ask. I'm going to be voting for the fair tax. We also need to make sure that we get out the vote. And people say, well, what are we going to do? Come on, this crazy coronavirus keeps us at home and we can't get together as we once did. Here's what I'd like you to think about. How many times in the last 3.5 years has someone worked with, counted as a friend or a neighbor, told you what a miserable job Donald Trump was doing, and you nodded your head and said, well, we'll get our chance to do something about it in the 2020 election? Now's the time to get on the phone and to call that person and say, remember that conversation we had in your backyard and what you said about the way Trump treats women, the way he treats immigrants and such? I sure hope you're voting, and the people in your house are going to be voting too. Apply for that ballot to make sure that you do have your vote counted. Reach out to the people that have spoken to you in the last 3.5 years of what a miserable job Trump has done, and make sure they're voting. Don't assume for a second that they're going to vote until you make sure and call them. That's part of it. We've got to reach out to organizations like Indivisible and those that have come on the scene and really breathe energy and life into this election campaign and attempt to make sure that Joe Biden is our next president. And let me just also say this. I want to say a word about some people who are on the program this evening who've been part of my wife's I Will program. Cheri Bustos, in a short period of time, recognized for her leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives. She's amazing. And I also want to call out and say a kind word about Juliana Stratton, our Lieutenant Governor, a product of the I Will program and a real credit to our party and a credit to our state. I'm sitting on my deck here in the 13th Congressional District, and another I Will grad, Betsy Dirksen Londrigan, is going to be our next congressman in this district. I'm looking forward to that actually happening soon. And let me say this about those who are speaking tonight. Cory Booker is my buddy. When he came to the United States Senate, we teamed up on criminal justice reform legislation. He's a terrific person, was a great presidential candidate and a great spokesman to join us this evening. And we're going to have a word a little later on from Tammy Baldwin. She is the co-chair of the Tammy Caucus in the Senate. That would be Tammy Duckworth, my great colleague, and Tammy Baldwin. Tammy Baldwin is an amazing story. In a state of Wisconsin that would elect a person like Scott Walker, they did elect Tammy Baldwin. So we know that there are voters of good judgment in that state. And she stood up for her state, fights for jobs for America. And I know she's going to be with us this evening with a live presentation. I value her friendship and serve with her in the leadership of the United States Senate. And Tammy is just the best. So I thank you all for letting me say a few words. Now just remember this, my name's going to be on this ballot too, and I need your help. I decided to make this race because I want to be in Washington when we start repairing the damage of Donald Trump. We have a lot to do. The list is just almost endless, but I want to be there to make sure that Illinois has another strong voice with Tammy Duckworth in the United States Senate, and to also make certain that we restore the values that bring us all together in this nation. That's what we need to do. Elect Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the next line of voting is going to be for a fellow for Senate by the name of Durbin, who would sure be honored to continue to represent you. Then our great congressional candidates and down the ballot. So thanks, everybody. I thank the County Chairs Association for becoming one of the leading Democratic organizations in the nation. Kristina, thanks for your leadership.
Thank you, Senator Durbin. We look forward when you're in the majority and all the great things you're going to be continuing to do for us. I also want to now just welcome and say thank you to Senator Joe Biden for sending us this very special message.
Hello, Democrats. Thank you all for your service to the Democratic Party and to our country, especially in these tough times. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances this year, but instead we're separated by a deadly virus. Far, far too many Americans have died. We have more COVID infections than any other country in the world. And millions are still out of work. And we're grappling with the legacy of systemic racism, which has kept us for too many years from realizing our full share of the American dream for so many Americans. Today, we're dealing with multiple national crises all at once. We need real leadership, and we need it now. We need leadership that recognizes the real threat of this pandemic. It doesn't just wave a white flag of surrender like the president has. We need leadership that brings everyone to the table, to rebuild an economy that works for working families, creates millions of good-paying jobs for the future. We need leadership that strives to finally deliver on the founding principles, ensure that all men are not only equal at their creation, but treated equally throughout their lives. Because this is a challenge we're unwilling to postpone. Folks, I refuse to postpone. The soul of America is at stake in this election. That's the reason I decided to run. That's why I stand united with every single Democrat in our shared mission to beat Donald Trump and restore decency, dignity, and leadership to the White House. We have to do more than just beat Donald Trump. We have to keep the House of Representatives, and we have to win the United States Senate. And we have to lead and deliver meaningful change for the millions of people who are hurting all across this nation. That means we need strong state parties, strong county parties, strong democratic organizations at all levels across every single state. The stakes have never been higher, and that's not an exaggeration. So we have to work harder than we've ever worked. We need to stand up as a nation, to stand with the Black community and the Latino community, the Asian, Pacific, and Pacific Islander community, to stand with workers, to stand with every person who's ever been knocked down, counted out, or left behind. If we stand together as one America, we'll win the battle for the soul of this country. Our children are counting on us. We can do this, I am positive. This is the United States of America. There's not a single thing we're unable to do when we do it together. So thank you, and let's get to work.
Hello, Illinois Democrats. I want to thank Senator Durbin for introducing me. He is really one of the great mentors to me in the Senate and has been the lead partner of mine on so many issues around justice and frankly, criminal justice reform. He is really one of America's great lights on issues from making our criminal justice system be more just to our immigration system reflect our values. I also want to thank my other colleague, incredible Senator Duckworth, who has been one of the true rising stars in the United States Senate and somebody I'm honored to be able to call not just my colleague, but my friend. And Governor Pritzker, I am a fan and I am grateful for your leadership in a time of trial and challenge. And that's where we are in America right now. We know this. This is a time of great trial and great challenge. But we are never defined by what happens to us. We define ourselves by how we choose to respond. And I know this has been a long and difficult pathway. And this election in our horizon promises for us an opportunity to make a dramatic change in America, not just in the White House with electing Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but it also promises the chance to get back control of the United States Senate by re-electing people like Senator Dick Durbin and giving an even bigger majority in the House of Representatives. This can be one of the great elections for our country, not just on the federal level, but in state legislatures and around the nation in local offices. We have work to do, Democrats, to take back the helm of our country on so many different levels and drive it towards justice and expanded opportunity. Again, we're not defined by what happens to us. We're defined by how we choose to respond. One of my great inspirations in my life, living in Newark, New Jersey, was this incredible tenant leader. Her name is Virginia Jones. I actually moved into some of these tough projects for almost a decade myself. She was my tenant leader, and she was this incredible woman who saw hardship and pain, the likes of which I will hopefully never see. In fact, her son was murdered in the lobby of the building I would move into, but yet she never left those buildings. She was one of these people who just could have lived in a lot of different places, but she was the sole force keeping that community together. And one day I asked her simply, when I heard about her son's murder, I asked her why she would remain, why she would stay there. And this tough woman looks at me and goes with a wry smile, "Why am I still in these buildings?" I'm like, "Yes, Miss Jones, why? Why am I still in apartment 5A? Yes, Miss Jones, why? Why am I still the tenant president since these buildings were built in 1969? Yes, Miss Jones, why?" And she looks at me proudly with a smile on her face, and she just says, "Because I'm in charge of Homeland Security." I smiled, and she did as well. And I knew right there what her spirit was. It's a great spirit that we know thrives in America and thrives in this party. It's this understanding that you may not have a presidential appointment or a title, but all of us have power. Most common way we give up our power is not realizing that we have power in the first place. And here was a woman that assumed her power. The tragic circumstances that happened to her were not going to define her. She assumed power, assumed responsibility, and lived a love so large that she kept her community together, kept it strengthened, kept it moving forward. Well, now we all have to take responsibility with that same kind of activist, courageous love that is a love of labor, a love of work, a love of sacrifice for our country. If we show a love that great, I know what we can do in these last days going into this election. We can reshape our nation, reclaim the ideals that have been so savaged by a president who's trampled them. And more than this, we can get momentum, because election day is not an end. Beating Donald Trump is the floor, it's not the ceiling. It gets us out of a valley. It does not get us to the mountaintop. And that's where we're called on so many issues. This nation is called to go onto the mountaintop and into the promised land, because we can be that promised land, that light unto other nations. I believe that that's just not a hope for our country. I believe it's our destiny. We can claim that destiny together. Thank you. God bless you. And I wish you all the best, my fellow Democrats, and more importantly, my fellow Americans.
On behalf of the Sangamon County Democratic Party, we would like to introduce Sangamon County's favorite son and Illinois senior senator, Senator Dick Durbin.
Looks like I'm back on tap.
Yeah, Senator, if you don't mind, we would hope that you could say a little bit more about Senator Baldwin, as well as maybe give a little bit of context to our sister state to the north, Wisconsin.
Thanks, Christina, and I'm happy to do that, because I remember going up and campaigning for Tammy Baldwin, and I thought to myself, here's a woman who identified herself as gay early in her political career, and that might have destroyed another candidate. It might have led to terrible results, but in her case, it was the kind of honesty and commitment that made a big difference. Elected to Congress, she decided to run statewide in Wisconsin. And I went up to see her in the course of that campaign. You couldn't believe the passionate loyalty of her following. People couldn't wait to help Tammy Baldwin, because they know she's not only extraordinarily talented, but she is a courageous public servant who was willing to speak her mind and be honest with the people about who she was and what her life meant in the context of all of our lives. Wisconsin's a tough state. We know it because every 4 years, Illinoisans go up to Wisconsin to try to help if we can. And we're going to do the same thing this time. At a time when they were electing some pretty conservative Republicans, and still do, Tammy Baldwin was winning and getting reelected. It was an amazing victory and a real tribute to her. In the Senate, we sit on the leadership. We meet every Monday evening to kind of go through the issues. I get to see and hear her insight into those issues. Then I watch her on the floor of the Senate. She comes to me when I'm on the Appropriations Committee and talks about projects for Wisconsin. Boy, she never misses an opportunity to help Wisconsin, as I do the same for the state of Illinois. And when it comes to issues like Buy American, she is the leader. She is the person in the United States Senate who really wants to make sure American workers are going to prosper. So I value her as a great friend and a terrific neighbor of ours. And as I said earlier, the co-chair of the Tammy Caucus with Tammy Duckworth. It's a real honor to have Tammy Baldwin join us this evening.
Thank you so much, Dick. It is such an honor to join you. And thank you for that lovely introduction. I too love our work together, whether it's in the leadership team, whether it is working on issues affecting both of our states in the industrial Midwest, whether it is working on plans to have a plan to fight the coronavirus, since this president doesn't, and especially working hand in hand with you as we prioritize supporting our healthcare workers on the front line during a pandemic, to strengthen that workforce and to pay them what they're worth. So thank you for your leadership. I also have to, I want to give a shout out to all of the Illinois Democratic elected officials who have participated in tonight's program and others who join it and have not spoken, because you are an extraordinary, extraordinary group of people who have done such important things to address issues at home in Illinois. And we, in 2018, saw some great strides for Democrats with my reelection and flipping every statewide office in Wisconsin from Republican to Democrat. But our map is so gerrymandered that our state legislature is deeply in the grips of the Republican Party. So we're kind of envious of being able to move some of these bold things forward. I also want to give a shout out to my fellow Tammy Caucus member, Tammy Duckworth. I am so pleased to have worked with her throughout her time in the US Congress, starting with her first run for the House of Representatives so many years ago, and now as a colleague in the Senate. And I just want to say, Kristina Zahorik, I have had an opportunity to listen to you this evening, and I'm so impressed with your leadership of a group of really dedicated county party chairs throughout the state of Illinois. Maybe I'll start there, because I know from running statewide in Wisconsin that county chairs form the spine, the backbone of our party. And oftentimes the work that you do is thankless or unheralded. But I know how important the work it is that you do, whether you're a county chair in a reddish county or a blue county. Every vote matters, and you do everything you can to get it out and to highlight visibly the candidates who we have to vote into office this fall. You know, I had an opportunity just 11 days ago to address the Democratic National Convention. I actually was on the stage in the city of Milwaukee for my address, and it was a great honor that Thursday night. But I posed a question, I think a simple and fundamental question about what kind of country we want to be. Do we want to be one where an illness or injury buries us in debt, or a country where healthcare is available and affordable to all? Do we want to be a country where millionaires get to dodge their taxes, or a country where working people get a break? And do we want to be a country where the phrase "we the people" just means some of the people, or a country where "we the people" means all the people? And I really think that those are simple and fundamental questions that are before all of us as voters and organizers and activists and candidates and office holders, because that's the juncture we're at right now. Just reflecting on the two conventions, ours filled with hope and unity, and Vice President Biden promising to work as hard as he can for hope and unity, followed by a convention where the president and his minions talked about fear and division. And as Senator Durbin said earlier in his remarks, when you can't run on your successful actions against the coronavirus, when you can't run on a healthy and vibrant economy, when you can't run on unifying a nation, when we're struggling with literally centuries of systemic racism, you distract. And so fear, pessimism is what we will see from Donald Trump throughout the rest of this campaign. But all of this points out why this election is so incredibly important. It is a defining moment for our nation, a defining moment for whether the American dream will live and whether our democratic principles will survive and what sort of character we have as a nation. The election is 63 days off, and we have to continue to do everything we can. And yet we're in a country where every day we lose Wisconsinites and Illinoisans and Americans to a deadly virus, where people continue to lose their jobs, and where both of those two crises have lifted a veil to open the eyes of many Americans to inequities that have persisted for far too long. And we have a chance to change that. We have a chance, as Joe Biden says, to build back better, because I know that all of you know that we can't just go back to where we were in January of this year or March or February of this year. We have to build back better. We have to build back a healthcare system that leaves no one behind and repair the huge damage that Donald Trump has done to the Affordable Care Act. We have to build back an economy that works for everyone and that recognizes the dignity of hard work and begins to once again reward work, not just wealth. We have to build back a country that acknowledges and reconciles for hundreds of years of systemic racism. And all of that is a huge mission, but we know that Joe Biden is the person to do it. Whether it's the personal tragedies that he has faced, or whether it is the moment in which he took the office of vice president and had to implement the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act that led to the longest period of economic growth in our nation's history, whether it was dealing with previous pandemics, whether it's just because he is a leader and we have none now. Those are all the reasons why we have to do everything we possibly can between today and November 3rd. Now, I'm not going to restate what others have said about the importance of voting and voting as early as possible, because my knowledge is of Wisconsin laws and helping people to deal with all of their nuances and obstacles so that they can have their voices heard. And boy, do you know that after watching Wisconsin vote on April 7th. But we're working very hard to do just that, make sure that every vote and every voice is heard and every vote is counted. I know you're doing the same in Illinois. I am so proud to be a part of this incredible event. I know you call it brunch at 6, which is already a little strange. I'm going to call it brunch at 7:30 because I think that's about what time it is now. But as I said, I'm so honored to join so many who are committed, totally committed to building back better and answering that question, what kind of country do we want to be, with an answer that involves healthcare availability for all, a fair economy that works for working people, and an end to the sort of police brutality that we experienced in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and earlier we saw in Minneapolis and so many other locations, but also equity across the board. So again, thank you so much for having me join you this evening. It's an honor.
Thank you so much, Senator Baldwin. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I think, you know, what your remarks really highlight from my perspective is that word and is that desire of vision. What kind of world do we really want to live in? And what are we willing to do in order to make that vision happen? So again, thank you so much, Senator Durbin. Thank you so much, Senator Baldwin. When we win in November, we want to win big. We have a mandate to do big things at the national level, just like we're doing here in Illinois. Big things like those reflected in the Democratic Party platform. And we cannot leave anyone behind. This is an all-in effort. What else you can do to assure victory on November 3rd must be done. Our country is depending upon you. I know you agree. So let's go forward and turn out in big numbers. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all you will do to fight for the soul of America and win in November. Let's get to work.